Hi guys, in this video I will show you and analyze the game between a checkers pro, yes, I am so humble to call me that way, against checkers amateur, and there will be a lot of interesting things to notice, like for example what happens in case of illegal moves. That was the tournament for coaches and parents during European Youth Championship in Tallinn, Estonia. And that was the first round. In the end, I had the third starting number, so there were good players playing, but in the first round I was connected to an amateur from the Netherlands. Of course, Dutch players are extremely good, Dutch coaches as well, but parents sometimes just want to spend a good, nice time playing checkers like in this game. So let's analyze it. As you can see, this game was played in international checkers. It means that the board had 100 squares. But what is really important, because probably you better know some other variations of checkers that can be played on a chessboard 8x8, the mechanisms, the things that I will show you will improve your game in each different variation of checkers. How did it go? I was playing white, and the first thing when the game starts is to start the clock. Normally it should be done by the player who is playing dark pieces, because light pieces are on the first move. My opponent probably didn't know that, and finally I did it for myself. And the first move was played, my opponent responded, I made the second move, and already on the second move my opponent makes a huge mistake. And this mistake caused the loss of two pieces, because as you can see, and what you need to remember in international checkers or in many different kinds of variations of drafts or checkers, it is possible to take backwards, and in this case I just took those two pieces for free. Of course that was a mistake, and on a master level honestly the game is over at this moment, but still it's worth to follow it what happened then. Some basics are known by my opponent, because in the opening of the game you should centralize your pieces. It means that your pieces from the edges, from the back, should be put in the center, and my opponent is going to play something like that. Now this move was played. Of course I am trying to do the same all the time. Maybe for my opponent it's not the best way of development in the opening, because she puts too many pieces on one side of checker board, and now I had the possibility to somehow lock my opponent, to make some problems for her, because after this lock no of this move is possible, because it would cause big losses. So opponents played here, I played here. As you can see, I make this moves quite fast, quite smoothly. And what happens then? Another development from my opponent will be played soon. I already showed you the move, and I'm not thinking too much. I'm just covering the gaps, because it's not possible to not to have any gaps during entire game. At some moment of the game you need to make move, and it means that the space between your piece is uncovered, and it can cause problems, because you can fall on some combinations. And take a look at this position of my opponent. Now all the safe moves were already played, and my opponent in this position played from the edge to the center, and those moves are extremely dangerous. You need to be aware of what can happen after such moves. But looking at other possibilities, just one left other move that was safe was 14 to 20, but this move was lost as well. Playing checkers, playing drafts, you need to remember and not to be afraid of losing some pieces, because many moments will give you a possibility of exchanging pieces. If you are losing the same number of pieces as your opponent, it's all okay. It's like a gentleman agreement. Don't be afraid of it, because now, for example, after such exchange, you gain a space. you gain a space to make some free, safe moves on the next moves. And it's extremely important to have this space to play. And once my opponent was afraid of losing pieces, played this mistake, 15 to 20. Let me show you at first what would happen after 14 to 20. This is this move. I use the notation, you don't see it, but if you are a bit more experienced player, you will notice it all, or you will just know it. I would sacrifice one piece and take 3 pieces straight to a king. It's the most basic checkers combination, and the same mechanism, like I told, work in other variation of checkers. So after this move that has been played by my opponent, I make another combination, which is here, sacrifice 1 and take 3 pieces straight to a king, and now I have 4 pieces more and a king, of course. As you can see right now, something strange happens, because my opponent should take a piece, capture it, because capturing in checkers is mandatory. But meanwhile, my opponent is doing another move, and that caused me a problem, because I can't even use this analyzing tool, because its algorithms don't let me to make illegal move. This is the illegal move of my opponent. What happens there? I have 2 choices, and I made 2 different decisions, and you will see the other decision in the further part of this video. The first decision is to force your opponent to undo the last move, to take it back, and to make the right move. So this is the choice number 1, or the choice number 2, the possibility number 2 is, if I am okay with this illegal move of my opponent, if my opponent makes an illegal move and switches clock, then the decision is on my side, and I can just leave the things like they are on the board. So the second choice is just to do nothing, to accept the game of state. And in this case, my choice was the second one. I didn't force my opponent to make last move back. That needed me to prepare another position, another analyzing position. You can see it right now, and after this last move of my opponent, I take 2 pieces with my king, and move is again on my opponent. Now she will notice the capture. Yes, she takes, I take. And of course the position is extremely good for me, but at this moment my opponent finds the best move, which was to capture my king. Of course, king in international checkers moves through all the diagonal square, so it was taken one by one and was absolutely a good decision. In some games between amateurs, of course, there is still possibility to take some chances on the dark pieces side on this game, but against me, of course, it would be extremely difficult. Now I'm setting other traps for my opponent. For example, if she played something like here, she is freeing this square, and when I see the gap there, I can just wait, I can sacrifice another piece and take 3 to a king. That would be a good solution for me, another combination to make. And when you are playing against amateurs, of course, most of the games will be decided by combinations, because it's extremely difficult to avoid all the combinations in a checkers game when you are not an experienced player. And even if you are, there are still a lot of more difficult, more beautiful combinations that you can lose with. What happens there? What happens then? My opponent will play 11 to 17, what you will see in the video soon. That's the scenario that happens many times, that some beginners are starting to think when they have less pieces on the board, because it's easier for them to calculate options. It's easier to them to check what are the next moves, to check it all, to check if there are some problems, caused by some move, to check the combinations, the capturing possibilities, and is of course much more difficult when you have the full number of pieces on the board, or almost all of them there. Another move from my opponent and another trap from me, because I prepared another formation. Of course, the game of checkers is the strategical game of building different kind of structures. This structure is called column. It contains 3 pieces in a row, and it's supported with another one, and sometimes it can be called a fork, because it looks like a fork. And after another move, my opponent goes here, I play here, and now the trap is set on each move, including this one. So my opponent played 11 to 17, and I am using the majority capture rule. Majority capture rule, that is, for example, in 64 squared Brazilian checkers or in 100 squared international checkers, means that you are obligated to take the most pieces, the biggest number of pieces. Like you can see, there is a possibility of capturing 2 pieces for dark pieces, and the other one is to take 3 pieces there. So it means it's not like your free choice, you need to take 3. And my opponent didn't see it. You remember what I've told you about the possibilities after illegal move, and in this case I am just holding my opponent's back, undoing the last move and showing the right proper move that she should have made to take 3 pieces, and then I sacrificed another 4th one to go to a king. Another combination, more difficult than the first ones, and my opponent is looking at the possibilities, probably right now. They're losing pieces, they're losing pieces, same here, here, here. So last 2 moves without losing pieces immediately are this one and this one. And what will be the choices of my opponent? Of course, when I have a lot of pieces more than my opponent, my job is to simplify the position, to exchange many pieces, because it will slowly bring the game to an end. Finally, after checking all those possibilities, my opponent goes here, and it gives me the possibility of simplification of the position. So I sacrificed 2, I took now 3 pieces with my king, because remember, it moves through all the diagonal squares, and another time, now I can find a thing that my opponent was really good at, is catching my king, because once she had this option she used it, and the second time as well. So my king was captured, but as you can see, 2 for 6 pieces more on my side will just make this game finished soon, but I still need to collect all pieces from my opponent. Now I changed the order of the moves, I play here, and there will be one more combination after my opponent plays here, I go here, building another column, because still, even if my opponent has only 3 pieces, I can use it for some combinations. I sacrifice 1, take 2, and after exchanging the last one, I win the game. Finally, my starting number was 3rd in this tournament, so I was not the highest rated player, and I finished 2nd, winning the silver medal after the barrages in this competition. I hope you liked this analysis. I hope you want to get better, to play better at checkers, and of course this channel, checkersTV, can be a place to develop your skills. On the checkersTV website you will find the courses, for example the course by the world champion Yuri Anikiev, and once you will get it, you can improve at checkers, you can become the better player, and after few lessons you can defeat over 90% of your opponents. If you liked it, don't forget to subscribe the checkersTV YouTube channel, and see you on the next video.